Hello everybody, Storm here. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Online Endwalker. In the last episode, we headed back to Razadhan, where we were finally able to actually explore the city a little bit with Estinian. Then we met back up with the crew and Vitra in Megaduta. Kind of went over everything. And then headed over to get the warding scales, of which there were quite a few, and Yustola proposed invading Garlemald, so we'll see what happens there. We did meet up with Nadana again. She's recovered, and in our discussion, she ended up talking about this energy Akasha, which is supposedly influenced by emotions that is distinct from ether, at least according to the Hanish alchemists. So, interesting. And we'll see where that ends up going. This is an explanation as to how the flower works that we got. Then back in Sharlayan, we had a nice evening with the crew, having dinner, eating burgers and pizza, and just having a good time. So, we are back out of there, and we need to go talk to Kryl and see what the report is from Yustola and Thancred and Eorzea about what the plan is going to be. Alright, but let's talk to Graha first. I hope you didn't mind us barging into your room for our late night feast. For what it's worth, it did me a world of good to put our troubles to one side, if only for a moment. Yeah, it was fine. Well, gives us a pewter weapon coffer. A pewter-lined chest containing a weapon. As the fates would have it, it would almost certainly be a perfect match for your chosen fighting style. Actually, I don't think I need these, because I already have myself fitted with 525 gear. Alright, no big. Oh, there you are. Feeling refreshed, I hope? I was about to make my way to the studium, as it happens. I wanted to try and speak with Scholark Monteshane, and thank him for coming to our rescue in the Rostra. As it turns out, he'd come here to see us, following the hearing, only to find that we'd already departed for Thafnir. Knowing him, he was probably hoping to chew the cud with his former students. Since we're still waiting for Yustola and the others, I thought now the perfect time to pay him a visit. Care to join me? Then it's settled. The twins will be coming too, assuming Alphino can tear himself away from his new toys. I'll let you rally the troops while I go ahead to Phenomenon. And Graha, considering my recent impropriety, perhaps I should avoid showing my face around the studium for a time. That might be for the best. If the others should return, tell them we will not be long. Anything else to add? Unlike some of the Scions, I am not an alumni of the studium. As such, I have no acquaintances there I am obliged to visit. And while I would love nothing more than to pore over the many great tomes of Phenomenon, I fear my presence there would stir up more unwanted trouble. So, for now, I will be patient, much as it pains me to do so. Well, I see piles of books here. You can keep yourself busy. Ah. There's Alphino working on a training dummy. That's probably wise. If Father can master these fiendish contraptions, then so can I. Yeah, you'll get it. Yeah, they say. Heading on a stroll. The Scholark himself was here. In that case, what are we waiting for? I, too, am eager to see him, though I somewhat dread the thought of visiting the studium. I dare say our notoriety precedes us. Alphino, of all people, worrying over his reputation, and at our alma mater, no less. The wonders never cease. You'll understand soon enough. Off we go. Alright, so off to the studium, I think. Or Phenomenon? Phenomenon. Well, the studium. Close enough. Alright, Alphino. It feels like only yesterday that I first walked through these doors. Alice. See that sculpted picture above the entrance? That's the mark of Thaliak, the scholar, bearer of the waters of knowledge. It's no exaggeration to say that Charlian itself is one enormous shrine to him, and that's especially noticeable here in the studium. That? Or, no, this. The ewer. Okay, Cryle. Here it is, Phenomenon. While I expect you made note of it before, one can hardly miss it. This is the first time you've been here on official business, correct? While most of the space is taken up by the expansive auditoriums, it also houses numerous laboratories, testing grounds for experimental magics, and a host of administrative offices and so forth. As a center of what will later become the Studium, it was established to promote the study of aetherological phenomena. That's the name. Though with ether being a fundamental aspect of nature, its scope expanded to include every conceivable facet of life and even the universe itself. And then, in the 432nd year of the 6th Astral Era, Phenomenon was decreed complete, and the Studium officially opened as a place of learning. With a long and storied history, it is without question the world's leading authority on etherology, the arcane, the occult, astromancy, and countless other fields, standing proud as Starlian's foremost educational institute. It seems that Alphino has practiced that speech many times. I always did enjoy giving the grand tour to new students. Indeed, I've long since lost track of how many times he's recited that same foppish speech. Such is his undying love for his old stamping ground. He was in top form back then, youngest entered the Studium, graduated with highest honors in magical arts and etherology, undisputed champion of the debating chamber. Hold on, you both joined the Studium at the same age, yes? And from where I stand, you're equally prodigious scholars. Nice of you to say, but Alphino actually entered a half a year before me, nor did I do well enough to graduate with honors. And I am certainly not the Studium's most notorious master debater. Alice, I saw what you were doing there. In all respects, have I ever been in his shadow. If nothing else, just remember that this was where the legend of Alphino Levieur began. We should expect everyone to be fully aware of our recent escapades. Hopefully, we'll be somewhat more welcome here than we were at the last stand. I know better than anyone the adoration the student body has for Alphino, and with a bit of luck, it might work to our advantage. Well, there's no time like the present. First things first, let's look for Skalak Montashane. Other faculty tend to frequent their offices, but unfortunately for us, he's fond of wandering wheresoever his whims take him. Let's split up and ask the students if they've seen him. Alright, so head on in. Alright, we have an excitable student here. What's up? That was Alphino Levieur, wasn't it? The Alphino Levieur. Yes, it was. And he's with his sister and Master Baldessian's granddaughter. This can only mean one thing. An event of epoch-shattering proportions is fast approaching. Spread the word. You have no idea. Oh, sorry. You said you're looking for the Skalark, yes? Knowing him, he could be anywhere, but Miss Aliapo should have a better idea. Another Aliapo kicking around somewhere? What's Alice getting up to over here? Looks like a gleaner? Things were bad enough during our school days, and Alphino's time abroad has only heightened his fame, or should that be infamy? He had his rivals and detractors, of course, though most of them gave that up after his adoring fans set upon them like ravenous dogs. Alfredo, on the other hand, never paid them much notice. They were simply beneath him. Searchers meet. Alright, there's Key Aliapo. Are you lost? Wander off the street, perhaps? Wait, don't tell me. You're a trainee gleaner fresh off the guild ship. I'm right, aren't I? No. Oh, how silly of me. An orientation is in order. Allow me to bid you a warm welcome to Searchers Meet. Let me start with a question. What's the most important thing you'll find in the studium? That's right, books. And what's the second most important? Why, that's simple. Everything else. That's what we deal in here at Searchers Meet. Whenever the students of tutors find themselves in need of equipment or materials, they come to us. If we don't have it in our stores, we send the gleaners off to find it. Honestly, you wouldn't believe some of the requests we get. Aya, Piazza, this, tongue of giant toad that. It's enough to make your hair stand on end, which is possibly what some of our students are trying to accomplish, this being a school of magic and all. As our newest gleaner, you'll have your work cut out for you, but I think you'll find it quite rewarding. I've tracked down many miscellaneous knickknacks in my time, but I'm no gleaner. So, what you're telling me is you're not a gleaner? Yes, that's exactly what you said, isn't it? And you're looking for a Scholark? I'm afraid we don't have any of those in stock, but I can... Oh, you mean him? Yes, try to keep up. He was here, but no, he's not. I did speak with him shortly before you arrived, though. He said he was on his way to Maker's Meet. I'll go back the way you came in, and you'll see it on the opposite side of the entrance. It's a laboratory of sort, home to many rare and expensive curios, not to mention alarmingly frequent accidents. If you lose your way, just follow the blood-curdling screams. Alright. And the time it's taking me to tell you all this, the Scholark has probably already left. Best of luck finding him. I have a feeling you'll need it. Yes, these facilities are the crafting and gathering areas, which won't be doing on this character. Level-headed student. Yes, the Scholark was here a short while ago. He offered me advice on my current research project. Though he spoke at length, I don't recall him mentioning where he was planning to go next. When we parted ways, he went down the corridor, perhaps to one of the auditoriums? Yeah, so he's already out of here. Oh, nobody else really here. No, that's not where we need to be. Over here, and there he is.
Ah, I remember you.
I pray we have not caught you at an inopportune moment. We wanted to offer our thanks for your kind words in the forum.
Well, I could hardly let that inquisition go unchallenged. I've always believed that curiosity should be nurtured, not stifled. Thankfully, a majority of my colleagues agreed. A slender majority, aye, but a majority nonetheless.
Had the vote not gone our way, we would be having a very different conversation, if any at all. Though I'd like to think you would have not given up on our cause. I'm told you paid a visit to the annex afterwards.
Yes, that's right. I was hoping to speak with the grandchildren of my dearly departed friends Galuf and Louisoix in a less dour setting. But it seems I just missed you. I still can't believe how much you've grown. If only your grandsires could have seen the way you presented yourselves to the Forum. Why, it fair brought a tear to my own eye. You must have the patience of a saint, putting up with this lot and their antics. Never mind Matoya's prize student.
They're fine.
Luckily, I know a thing or two about managing unruly younglings. If you ever need advice, don't hesitate to ask.
If I may, there is a rather more pressing matter we wish to discuss. What can you tell us of this duty that the Forum must fulfill?
Nothing, I'm afraid. Like all humble servants of the Forum, I am sworn to secrecy. Or rather, I couldn't tell you if I tried.
Got that impression.
Our duty is of the gravest importance. Furthermore, if the particulars were made public, it would incite widespread panic. As such, those entrusted with this duty have been bound by an enchantment, which prevents us from speaking of such matters without the express permission of the Forum.
How is that even possible?
It's been some time since I last gave a lecture. Please, take a seat.
I guess we're gonna sit down for a lecture.
We shall begin by reviewing the fundamentals of etherology. The ether, which imbues us with life, can be categorized into three forms. Two are of the incorporeal sort, the soul and the memory. Can anyone tell me the third?
Well, it would be the corporeal ether. Yes.
Yes, very good. This is the form with which the layman is most familiar. Consumed by even the simplest of daily activities, and replenished by the food and drink that sustain us, this form of ether is in constant flux. In contrast, the ether that comprises the soul is rarely subject to dramatic change. The same can be said for memory, as the two are intrinsically linked. Picture the soul as paper, and memories as words written upon it.
I believe that says welcome to the studium.
Now, what would happen if that paper was doused with ink? The same type of ether as comprises the memories.
It would blot out everything that was written.
Precisely. We would be unable to recall the memories, and any activities that depend upon them would be hindered as well. In fact, this exact phenomenon was observed on a vast scale not so long ago. And what might that have been?
Seventh Umbral Calamity.
The seventh Umbral Calamity. The people of Eorzea vividly recall Bahamut breaking free of the Lesser Moon and raining hellfire down upon the realm. But no one could seem to remember the events that followed immediately afterwards.
Indeed. To this day, we have yet to determine whether it was an unintended consequence or a deliberate act.
Or a massive blast of ether entering the source from a shard being rejoined, perhaps?
The enchantment which binds me and the rest of the Forum is based on a similar principle. And yes, it is a contravention of the Sharlayan prohibition against the practice of memory manipulation.
A government breaking its own rules. How surprising.
Only when a new member is inducted and told of our great duty are they subjected to the process. A necessary evil. You have my word that it would never be used to manipulate the populace.
So you'd like to think, but if push came to shove, that line's been crossed.
I should hope not. But can this enchantment be dispelled and your memories restored?
And every time you cross one line, it becomes easier to cross the next.
If 9/10 of our members give their approval, then the process may be reversed. Then, and only then, would we be able to speak freely to others of our sacred duty. Barring that, we must wait until we return to the ethereal sea. For there we will be purified, the blots upon our souls washed clean. And our memories drift apart and dissolve, rather defeating the purpose, I suppose. But there are those memories that are indelibly etched upon our souls, some believe.
What happens after that?
We are reduced to pure ether, coalesce with that of others, and create souls anew. Alternative schools of thought assert souls remain whole and return to the corporeal world, reborn into another form.
I wish we are aware that that in fact does happen. Though most likely both situations occur.
Both theories have their proponents. Personally, I consider each equally probable.
Because we know that the Asians are from people who possessed souls of the ancients.
Well, I think that's enough education for today. Now that I've given you some food for thought. Or rather, an entire banquet.
And our character, ourselves, has one such soul.
I would remind you that although I'm unable to assist you with certain matters, the resources at my disposal may still be of use to you. I'll arrange for you all to be given the run of Phenomenon. Of course, as associate to our alumni and the students of Baldessian, this privilege is extended to you as well, my friend.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh, and I suggest you speak with Ki Aliapo. She's well known among the artisans of Sharlayan, and her network of contacts may prove useful in your search for knowledge. I wish you all the best in your pursuits, wheresoever they may take you.
Alright, there we go. I've been granted the run of Phenomenon. Your game, Key Aliapo, would put your artisanry to good use, of which I don't have any on this character. Okay, so we got ourselves a weapon, coffer, which we don't need, so we'll just put that away. Alice? Some of my earliest memories are of Scholark Monteshane, actually. He was a close friend of our grandfather. He would come for tea and amaze us with his tricks, much like his demonstration with the paper and ink. He's a huge part of why I wanted to enter the studium in the first place. Yes, he is one of the good kinds of teachers. Alphino? While Scholark Monteshane is best known for his role as head of the studium, he is said to be one of the finest mages Charlene has ever produced. Having seen for myself the ease with which he weaves extraordinarily complex and powerful magics, I have no reason to doubt the claim. So not entirely sure if those were just familiars that he conjured on the spot or glamours, but, you know, either way. Kryl. Well, that's giving me much to mull over. I feel as though we're one step closer to understanding the Forum's true motives and the mysteries of life itself, for good measure. It's funny, I came here with the intent of expressing my gratitude, only to leave more indebted than before. I have a feeling his friendship and support will be a great boon to us in days to come. And on that note, let's head back to the Annex. Perhaps on the way, you could better acquaint yourself with Key Aliapo, as the scholar suggested, while I share our findings with Raha. Alright, well, we have no need to speak with Key Aliapo. In fact, I don't even think we can. No, we cannot. Though we have some other side quests now in town, which will be done later off-screen. Alright, so back to the Annex. And into the main hall. Alright, so we got Skryl, Alice, Graha, Estinian, and Alphino. I guess we'll continue to just chat with everybody. Alphino? Estinian returned not long after we departed for the studium. A shame that he missed the chance to attend our lecture with the Scholark, or perhaps not. Having spent most of the time in Thavnair, I've yet to fully grasp the lie of the land here in Charlian. Even finding my way to the Annex proved a challenge. It's not that complicated. Alice? You better not let your guard down around Key. One small favor becomes another, then another, and before you know it, you'll be running to the other side of the world in search of a bottle of wine or some other rubbish. Don't remind me. Then again, it might make for a welcome change of pace from your usual heroics, and as the Scholark said, it could also lead to interesting discoveries. I believe that is a reference to one of the quests in the Rabanaster raid series, where you're literally told to go halfway across the world to get a bottle of wine for one character. Which then leads to another thing, and another thing, and another thing. But yeah. As it goes. Trial? It seems I've done an adequate job of relaying Scholark Monteshane's lecture to Raha, given his experiences in the field of souls and memories. He had no trouble understanding it. Of course he didn't. Welcome back. From what I hear, your trip to the studium proved most educational. While you were away, I received word from our fellow science. As expected, news of the warding scales was met with much joy. Preparations are now underway to bring the leadership of the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance together to determine a way forward. Our friends have asked that we bring the scales in our possession to Illsabarn. The time has come for us to go on the offensive. It's too early to say for the certain, but that does seem to be the way the winds are blowing. I, for one, can think of no reason to oppose such a plan, but let us see what awaits us in Vilbrand. Then let's start by getting the scales out of storage. Give me a hand, would you, Estinian? The biggest, strongest dude here? Yeah. Probably want to get him to carry the heavy stuff. Phew, I didn't realize these crates were so heavy. I shouldn't complain, though. Vitra and the alchemists of the great work put their heart and soul into each and every one of these scales, so you must treat them with the utmost care. Are you not coming with us? As much as I would like to escape the Forum's watchful gaze, I have little choice but to stay behind. We're already on thin ice, and if I, in my capacity as our official representative, were found to be consorting with foreign powers, well, you can imagine how that would go. I shall remain here and do my utmost to avoid ruffling any more feathers as I await word from Master Matoya and our other allies. With luck, we'll soon have good news of our own to share. The tide is about to turn. I can feel it. To Illsabarn. Anything else to add? If you learn aught of interest, be sure to let me know. In the meantime, I will do what I can to aid our cause, though I fear that will be precious little given the circumstances. Alright, we're off to Limsa. Alright. Storm Sergeant. I was told to expect you. As you may or may not be aware, the Admiral is at present entertaining the Elder Seed Seer and the Sultana. 3 of the most powerful women in the world in one room. Do you need a moment to prepare, or shall I show you to them? No. They may possess political power, but I have, like, actual power. Meaning I could blow the whole place up if I wanted to. Alright, my apologies for calling you away from Charlene at such short notice. On the contrary, we are honored and grateful, and pleasantly surprised to be joined by such esteemed company. It was only right that this discussion be conducted in person. We are locked in a war of attrition. Our forces struggle to contain the threat posed by the towers, and it is only a matter of time before we are overwhelmed. Victory will only be claimed through decisive action, and we have taken the initiative to set the wheels in motion. It is reassuring to learn we are all in accord. But might I ask what your plan entails? It hinges entirely on the warding scales and our ability to utilize their potential to the fullest. During our time in Charlian, the allied nations have been engaged on separate fronts with no end in sight. To make matters worse, a surge in abductions of kobolds, Sahagin, Ixal, and Ananta have given rise to an increasing number of primals as well. But your triumph in Razadhan has given us cause to hope once more. The time has come to free ourselves of this menace, and it is you, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, who have shown us the way. While the bulk of our forces will continue to hold Lothlorien at bay, we will dispatch our finest to strike at the enemy's heart, Garlemald. Alright, so it looks like they're on board with your Stolas plan. These brave few will be the Illsabarn Contingent. I think such progress has been made in so short a span. Its objectives are twofold. The first is to provide aid to the people of Garlemald. As previously reported, countless Imperial soldiers and civilians have been tempered, robbed of their free will. They serve the Telophoroi's every whim without question. They too are victims. It is our duty to deliver them from their suffering, not for strategic or political gain, but because it is the right thing to do. Though it also has a strategic benefit of removing manpower from the enemy. I do not ask that we set aside the decades of conflict and conquest, that we simply choose to forgive and forget. I ask only that in choosing to remember, we do not also forsake our compassion and morality, for without that, there can be no reconciliation, only death without end. Aye, on that we can all agree. Our second objective is the colossal tower that Thancred and Eorzea observed in the capital. Though its purpose remains unclear, there is reason to believe the smaller spires are merely a precursor of what's yet to come. Until the Tower of Zot was toppled, we'd failed to make any headway, though the same could be said of the Telophoroi. We're certainly in no rush to press further into our lands. I'd wager the Spire's primary purpose is to divide and keep us occupied while they work towards our annihilation. This would appear to be substantiated by Ystola's analysis of the Tower's influence on ethereal currents. Based on our observations inside the Tower of Zot, the Spires siphon ether from the land, consuming it to maintain their form. However, they draw forth far more than is required for this task alone, so they're doing something else with it. The excess of ether remains unaccounted for, but we can be sure it is not being harnessed for our benefit. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if it was being redirected to the larger spire in the capital. That makes sense. There's a logic in that. Regardless, once we have uncovered the truth, we'll bring their schemes crashing down along with their infernal towers. That's all well and good. But what would you have us do? I assume it's more than handing over the scales and being on our way. We want you and your scales to join the Illsabarn Contingent. Consider an official request from both the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance. Do you accept? Sure thing. Let's go. Perhaps you should be the one to answer that. Let's say, revenge? No. Let's say for honor and glory. Couldn't have put it better myself. Ystola, Thancred, and Eorzea have already pledged their support and are on their way to meet the rest of the contingent. They were positive you would come to the same decision as they did. Luckily, for all involved, their prediction was correct. Once you have delivered the warning scales to Alamigo, the contingent will embark on its journey to Illsabarn. Relbon and Lord Emmerich are overseeing preparations, so I suggest you make yourself known upon arrival. Pick warm clothing, furs and the like. Without it, the cold will do you in before the Telophoroi so much as draw steel. As for us, we'll keep the enemy busy while you're gone. They're not the only ones who can create a diversion. Now, go. Safe in the knowledge, Eorzea will be as you left it, or better, upon your return. Alright then. So we need to go speak with Relbon in the Alamigan Quarter, but I think we'll probably stop here, because it's a good stopping point. And I'm sure we're going to be running into a lot of stuff coming up. So, we will break here, and we'll go link up with the Illsabarn Contingent for next episode. So for now, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.